did you get there? Now that you're there, what is up? And welcome back. Today we're talking about YouTuber movies, which have grown significantly in popularity at this point in time. So, first and foremost, of course, we have Iron Lung, which was made by Markiplier, who is a gaming YouTuber, and it is based off of a video game, which is so interesting because I'm not going to spend time explaining the game, but you really should look into it because I just think that the fact he was able to make a full movie off of the game is really interesting, just because the game is not over in depth with its own lore. Anyway, so Markiplier was the first. However, we do also have to acknowledge that movies take a while to make. Like, it's not snap your fingers and we're done. So these other movies were in progress at the same time, but I do think the success of Markiplier's movie really played a role here, especially, and this is really key for when we get into the different budgets and box office sales. It's important to know that they self-financed Iron Lung. The other two had movie deals. Iron Lung did not. Iron Lung was self-financed and self-distributed by Markiplier and his organization. Say. Anyways, so Iron Lung is a horror movie that follows a convict who is forced to pilot a submarine through an ocean of blood on a desolate moon following an apocalyptic event known as the Quiet Rapture that caused all the stars and habitable planets, along with their human inhabitants, to disappear without knowing. So he's sent on like a little what's going on down here. It doesn't end well. I'm not going to say anything else. No spoilers. There will be no spoilers for this, just in case you wanted to know. But that's the plot of Iron Lung, which, again, is really incredible because Markiplier himself is one of the only actors to appear in the movie. The man put himself through the ringer to make this because he was heavily involved in every single step. And there's several videos where he talks about like his progress through that, and those are all very interesting. So this movie had a budget of $3 million. And at one point, Markiplier has shown his behind the scenes of this way that they made the submarine, which is basically like this room that's on like weird stilts so that way they could shake it. And I have to assume that's where most of their budget went. And you know where I know the rest of their budget went? The amount of fake blood they had. They broke the record for most amount of fake blood used in a movie. Markiplier did that on a self-financed movie that was also self-distributed. They broke the record for amount of fake blood used. It's pretty cool. So its budget was $3 million, and in the box office it made 51.2 million, which when we go over these other ones will not seem like as much. But again, this was entirely self-distributed. It was only originally supposed to open in 8 theaters, and it was only in theaters for a weekend. It was in theaters for one weekend. It was there like Thursday through Sunday, and then it was out of theaters. They made that money in those 4 days, and it was only supposed to open in those 8 theaters, but the following of Markiplier emailed enough theaters and were like, hey, can you get this movie there? That it opened in like over 1,000. In several countries. It was supposed to be 8 in the United States. It was the #1 movie in Australia. It barely lost out to Send Help the weekend that it premiered. Also, just because Markiplier is like a very good person in addition to this, along with the release, Markiplier arranged for certain theaters to be partnered with blood banks, so to donate blood to going. I think there was something. I don't know. To donate blood, and that also broke a world record with 37,000 donations, which is insane. This man pulled off some insane stuff, like just for fun. Over the course of like 6 years, he did it. Props to Markiplier. paving the way just in like spirit, maybe not in like practicality, because obviously these other movies were far in production and through their stages. But you gotta hand it to the man. He did pull that off near single-handedly. Nearly just him and his wife. Props to Amy. I'm not disregarding her. Now, we also have Obsession by Curry Barker, who I did not know who this was. So, his Wikipedia page said sketch comedy YouTuber. If that is incorrect, I apologize. I don't know. So this one, unlike Markiplier's movie, is not based off of a game. It is just an idea that he had and then was very slightly inspired by a Simpson episode, and that's something that he himself has stated. I'm not like insulting this movie. So the film follows Bear, a music store employee who buys a supernatural toy that grants him his wish for his friend Nikki to fall in love with him, resulting in horrifying consequences. Again, these are their Wikipedia descriptions of these movies, because I'm not trying to spoil them and may or may not have not seen them. He admitted that this was like, that there was inspiration from us. I believe the episode's The Monkey Paw. Like, he had the idea, but then he was like, ooh, it's much more whimsical if I make it about a children's toy. Things are always more whimsical if a children's toy is the perpetrator. This one's budget, varying in terms of sources, to 750,000 to 1 million, with box office 148 million. Obsession was produced by several production companies: T-Shot Productions, Capstone Studios, and Under the Shell, in association with Blumhouse Productions. I'm not dissing the fact that this was produced like by a group of people. That makes sense. That tends to be how movies are made. I just want to make it clear that, like, while comparatively you'd be like, Markiplier's movie did not make that same amount of money, Iron Lung did not pull in that same amount of revenue. This has been in theaters for like a week now, and I think it will be in theaters because there were showtimes when I was doing my research for this. There are current showtimes. Also, Iron Lung is available on YouTube Movies now for $5. So, but I'm not dissing the fact that these were made by production companies. It makes sense that they were. I just want to make it clear that Markiplier's was still a wild success. I just want that to be clear. I want that to be known. Anyway, in May of 2026, which now officially, as of today for me and yesterday for you, was last month, Barker said he was considering a sequel or anthology television series in which each episode explores a different character making a wish, which is very interesting. I think the premise itself could be interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not like a crazy new premise. Like, it's what the genie in Aladdin says, and that original movie came out in like the 70s. Like, they can't make people fall in love with you. You want to know why? Because it causes problems. So I do enjoy the idea of making wishes, but them always having like those horrifying side effects, like that note of you didn't earn it yourself, and therefore did you really earn it? It's always interesting. It's still in theaters now, so if you're dying to go see it, you still can. I don't know where it will come out when it is not in theaters, because I don't have that information. Anyways, our third and final movie is The Backrooms by Kane Parson, who to what I found was a creepypasta YouTuber, but Backrooms is, just as like a baseline before I read the description of the movie, it's like this vague, there are a shit ton of games about that. I'm not denying it. There's Roblox games about it. There has to be like at least 20 that I personally have heard of on Steam. So it's wildly big in the gaming community, but I believe it did exist as like internet lore first, but I also think he was like one of the people to like make it more organized from what I came across. Like, there was stuff talking about it just because it's like one of those things that's like sort of always been around. I mean, not really always, but he made like this more unified lore. And so his movie follows that lore, which I do know the sole aspect of lore that I know for sure is that in The Backrooms, if you drink almond milk, it keeps you from going crazy. And I would really like to know if there's a reason for that. And if you know what the reason is, let me know. I'd love to know. I'm not going to Google it. I want someone else to tell me. Anyways, so description of the film. Clark, a furniture store owner, and Mary, his therapist, discover a dimension of seemingly endless liminal spaces accessed through the basement of the store. Which we're not gonna go into what I think about the premises of these movies. Anyways, its budget was 10 million at our highest budget, and currently, because again, this movie is still in theaters, so it's also currently for Obsession, that movie is still in theaters. Currently, Backrooms is at 118 million for box office revenue. And it is still in theaters, so if you're dying to see it, one of my friends saw it, and she said that she liked it until they revealed the bad guy. And then she was like, well, I'm not afraid anymore. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is. Who knows? They did get that, like, 7-foot tall guy. I can't remember his name right now, but they did get him to play the bad guy. So that's always interesting when you have a real tall person. Because, like, the Avatar people aren't 7 feet tall, but that monster guy, the guy that plays the monster, is 7 feet tall. So just keep that in mind. I don't know what this monster looks like, but keep in mind, it's at least a little bit based in reality. Anyways, so my final thoughts on these. All 3 of them are horror, and these were I feel like there were a couple of others when I, like, Googled YouTuber movies, but these are the 3 that I knew about. Like, I knew that they were YouTuber-based movies. So these were the 3 that I chose to talk about. And they are all horror. And when I first realized that as I was putting this together, I was like, horror? And then I remembered I took a class on horror writing, and that the fact that when I had to write my actual final, I found it really difficult. Because there's aspects about, like, writing the inherent violence and psychological torture that goes on in horror that is just very difficult to do, because you're like, do I really want to think about this and then put it down? And, like, yeah, writing and making a script are not exactly the same thing, but there are enough similarities that I assume that thought process was vaguely similar. And also, aspects of horror are really, really hard to pull off. And from what I know, all 3 of these movies do it really well. Like, building that dread and that psychological warfare where you are genuinely afraid for what is going to happen next. Like, and also, it's not always, for writing, it's not always genuinely afraid. It's just like this sense of, it's building that sense of unease. Like, knowing something is going to happen, but not knowing what that thing is. And from what I know, all 3 of these movies did that very well. And very clearly, they're performing fantastically. And honestly, I will never not be enthused that, like, what are essentially Markiplier's Iron Lung is an indie horror film. It is an indie film, and I will never be unenthused that an indie movie is doing well. Also, I enjoy some horror movies. Not all. I probably will only watch Iron Lung out of these 3. But gotta be enthused when there's a comeback in horror. I do think it says something about the economy, but I can't remember what it says. But know that horror and the economy are linked. Just like zombies and vampires and the state of the social climate are linked. You learn really interesting things when in all of your classes all you do is talk about books. Anyways. But again, it's these independent producers essentially building their ways up, which I'll never not be proud of. I'm enthused about all of these. And will I watch them? No, but I'll be proud that they happened. And I think, honestly, we should all be. Just gotta support what is essentially small businesses. Specifically Iron Lung. Because I don't think I mentioned it, but Backrooms is an A24 movie. So the other 2 have productions, although I don't recognize the names of the production companies behind Obsession, and therefore I don't know, like, how based they are in the production atmosphere. But Iron Lung is an indie one, and therefore I will be fighting for it. But again, the other 2, still, it's all great. Anyways, I'm gonna go to sleep. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. You don't get to see, oh, there she is, my dog. That's your gift for the day. I never told you that you had to be here, so if you are, I'm very proud of you. We're at 34 subscribers. This is the part where I talk about myself. You can go now. We are at 34 subscribers as of today. Got a hate comment, which I decided I wasn't upset about. I decided that's cool. Hate comment number 1. And I replied to him and said that. And I am intrigued to see how that pans out. But I'm glad you are all here. And I suppose I should go. If you're here, you should subscribe. Isn't that a thing? That's the thing I'm supposed to say, right? Who knows? Anyways, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.